All right, all right, all right. Welcome back. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Church with Bo. I grew a mustache. It's been an eventful 2 weeks. Not really. I'm sorry. Took a week off. Hadn't really had too much going on. I got a wicked hemorrhoid, so I took that time to get rid of that and eat healthier. But the album's been doing good. I've I haven't actually heard anything from anybody on any platform about it, but a good sign to me, at least, is every other time I've dropped an album, it's like within the first week or so, I keep going back and I'll listen to the album throughout the week. Sometimes at least the first few days after I start uploading it, and then I'll at least go on a few of the pages to screenshot it, post it again on Instagram, and on all my other albums, pretty much all the other songs I've ever put out. When I would do that and go back throughout the week to recheck or to take a fresh screenshot to upload on my story and on Instagram to tell people, hey, this is out. It would always be like everything would have one view, the next day would have two because of the view that I had given that while I was screenshotting the. And this time, after the first day, even I'm pretty sure almost every song had like 30 plays, right? 30. That was For me, that's big numbers. I think it might be even closer to like 50 now. I think the last time I remember seeing it, it was like the mid to high late 30s, and that's big. Knock on wood, exactly. I hope it keeps going. I appreciate everybody who is listening. All I ask is make yourself more known because I feel like I'm talking into the void. But regardless, we're going to keep talking into it and we're going to keep making the best. If you're watching this years after, maybe months after the original upload date, I welcome you as well. Thank you. I love you. Hope you're having a good day. That goes for everybody. You know, what else did I have going on the last 2 weeks? I just shaped this mustache. My dad's had a mustache like his whole life, at least as long as I've known him. He's only ever not had the mustache for like a few months, and it was because he accidentally forgot he put the wrong guard on his mustache trimmer or something, or I used it. Something happened that he went to trim his mustache and accidentally trimmed off like the whole left side. So he's like, you know what? And shaved it all the way down. His cousin called him and when he saw him, he called his wife. He says, Sonia, come here. Look, it's like he's butt ass naked. So in through the inspiration of my father, I have gotten a mustache too now. Gotten it going at least, I need to get it a lot. I need to get a lot more bush, I need some nice thick 70s style bush. Georgia bush, bush, Georgia a bush, bitch, Georgia a bush, bitch. You know, sometimes you gotta spit flames on them. Let them know. But yeah, besides that, let's see what else we got going on. There was a producer battle Joey had his annual, maybe quadra-annual beat off on Twitch. He gave producers a bunch of samples, and everybody had, I think, 24 hours to make at least one beat with the samples they were given. And we had like, I think at least 8 or 9, maybe 10 real master beaters, master baiters of the beats that showed up, and everybody was going crazy. I mean, it was really high quality, top notch shit, and it was impressive what they could do while keeping the sample still like so minimal, because that was like part of it. It was like creative show, add your own flair and sounds, shit. You could add a recording or something. That's what I didn't have time, but if I was gonna do it, I would have added like a recording from some kind of clip, or like the recording of the making of a Lorzon dance, that Stromae French song, Alone Dance. That shit. There's a great making of video where he's like got this like tiny French guy who's like a super producer. I forget his name. Stromae's in there with that guy, and he's like, please just let me make a beat real quick for 5 minutes. One song, very quick. And the guy's like, okay. And at one point, he's like telling him, you've got to go. He's like giving him like the drum pattern. And the guy like starts practicing it. He's like, yes, recording, recording, recording. When he says recording, I lose my shit. That was, I don't know why, just that part. Maybe it's obviously it's the whole lead up to it too, but the power in the way he said that recording has radiated through my essence for aeons now. Every time I see it, or I see like a posting of that video on like Reels on Instagram and shit, immediately. First of all, I have to watch it, but I'm immediately taken back to the first time I seen it. Yeah. One I wish I saw more of, actually, that I have to go out of my way to rewatch, is the making of Ryan Leslie's Addiction, featuring Cassie. You know, I had to go back and watch that because I did not realize Cassie is Cassie, the princess of Next Selection, and that, you know, David Diddler got her from Mr. Leslie. Ryan Leslie was like a super poppin' artist in, I guess, the mid early 2000s, like 2005 to 8 or 9, I guess. And he discovered Cassie, I think. He was like trying to put her on as like his female artist. And he brought her around Diddy for like some recording session or something. Diddy was coming to like do for them or something. And Diddy said some shit like, man, honey, I wish I had me one of those, some. And Ryan's like, what are you talking about, bro? You're married. You got kids. Like, you're happily married. And apparently Diddy was like, yeah, right. And then like within the next year or two, he had convinced, I don't know if he convinced Ryan or if he just started talking to her enough to get in her head and, offer her some kind of money deal to sign over to him. But yeah, pretty sure she since she was at least 21, or at most, since she was at most 21, she might have been like 18 or 19 when he really came around, but she was spending like the majority of her time around those motherfuckers from when she, like, as soon as she turned 18 and was like super serious about becoming some kind of artist, I guess. Which is always crazy to me. Like, sorry, I know I'm saying that shit too much, but How do you turn 18 or 19? I guess it's easier for a woman because I don't know why it would be easier for women. It's probably not easier for women. But how do you turn 18 or 19 and within a year or two of starting music, for a lot of these people, it's full blown contracts. They're hanging out with P. Diddy, hanging out with this guy, with this girl. Mary J. Blige walked into my studio session and said, "You got it." What the fuck? Where is this shit coming from? How do y'all do this? Because we used to think that all the rock stars in the 70s and 80s and stuff were like just some random bum that stunk and got drunk and high all the time and dropped out of college or dropped out of middle school or dropped out of boop boop boop. And you come to find out that a lot of like Jim Morrison's dad was in the CIA. He was like working MK Ultra. I forget, there's a bunch of other family members of these famous rock stars and like all sorts of stars in Hollywood. I mean, in film and TV and music in general, that when you look into it, it's very odd that, oh, these people are all related or like married to or, directly father, mother, brother, sister related to agents. Hmm, how convenient. I bet, it helped one hand wash the other that one of them was in an advantageous position that the other one could use to help leverage, promotions in their career, I guess. I don't know. It just seems a bit odd. Oi, bro. I seem a bit odd there, don't it? Seem a bit odd, in it? I don't know. I don't know. I'm simply but a Slav. A Slav. Not a Yugoslav. But, I love wearing Adidas tracksuits. Not the Nike. The Nike's expensive, but the Adidas checks not over stripes. The Adidas tracksuit, you get a nice little slab squat. Google Slav squat. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's like when you crouch down, and you're like real low to the ground, but you're not like sitting on the ground. You're like that. It's like that sort of almost Eastern Asian samurai kind of like when they get low to the ground, but they're not on the balls of their feet, or they're not on the backs of their feet, they're not on their heels, they're on only the balls of their feet. So crouch down real low. Yeah, I do love me some squatting like a Slav and smoking a good ciggy on the toilet. Gets your day started right. Promise you that. I promise you that. But I don't recommend and I do not endorse these messages. Don't smoke, kids. Don't Slav squat. You'll get tipped over. You're not a seasoned veteran. These kids and the men you see doing it have been doing it since they were 3, 4 years old. They knew how to squat down like that, and they would just stretch it out. Hit the left, hit the right, break her out all night. Hit the left, hit the right, boop, boop, bop, bop, bop. Right. So when you first start doing it, your balance isn't all the way there. Therefore, if you're trying to hit the Slav squat in public or something around people that might be fucking with you, all they have to do is hit you with a little pop, in the wrong, catch you off guard, and boom, boom. you're tipping over and falling, on the ground in Manhattan, on the street of the Castro district of San Francisco. So it's important to be careful. It's important to be good to yourself and, practice at home before. My cousin used to tell me about driving recklessly and, doing burnouts and stuff. He used to say, well, before you try that shit with somebody in the car just because, it feels cool or it's like, whatever, you're in high school, it makes sense. I don't mind. Just promise me you can practice and you will practice by yourself. Try by starting somewhere in like, a big empty parking lot with nobody in there. There's nobody at risk. You probably won't tip the car over as long as you've got big enough spaces to practice in, and start small. After that, get back to, doing it on little side streets and burning and sliding left out, right out. Then move your way up to some lights, try to avoid anywhere in public and at very busy intersections with cars to your left and right, you know? Because like Pops used to tell me, still tells me all the time, is the number one rule in boxing is protect yourself at all times. And for me, I like to add at all costs. Protect yourself at all times and at all costs, you know, because you, like Cat Williams would say, you gotta look out for yo motherfucking star player pimping, because everybody else is out here looking out for theirs, and the people who aren't really doing much. So if you want to be able to help out your people that aren't really doing much, start by trying and try by starting. Now, what do we got going on here? I got a couple. I haven't looked at anything specifically on Reddit yet, but I got it pulled up and we can scroll around here, lighten it up, get the mood back righteous. Ozzy Osbourne, ah yes, how could I forget? Good old Glozzy died. I honestly thought he was gonna outlive everybody. Everybody. I mean, Oswald Osbourne. I think he was young too. I thought he was like way older because I mean, he's one of them ones as they accepted, as they accepted, accept the cookies, as they said. He was one of them ones that really stood the test of time. He seemed to be outliving everybody. It was like, well, the only thing that's going to stop him at this point is probably himself or big fall. But I don't know. I thought he was like 80 in his 80s. Just like, look at that. Look at that motherfucking king. British royalty. 76. 76, right? Honestly, he looked great for 76. I hope he had gotten laid recently. We wish the family well. What can you do? The man was an absolute animal in all the best ways. Respect to Osbourne and his fellow original Black Sabbath members. Tony Iommi, Terrence Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward reunited for the first time in 20 years and were the last to appear on stage for the Back to the Beginning concert on the 5th of July. Following his death, Metallica posted a photo on X of the band with Osbourne, along with a broken heart emoji. Thank you, Metallica. The broken heart emoji. Wee wee boo wee. No, it is very sad, but Metallica also like a bunch of 70-year-old men posting a broken heart emoji and not even like a farewell to our great friend Oswald. Something, not nothing, I mean, thank you, Ozzy. Here's one story the fucking lead singer of Metallica, remembers. Tell the guy who runs their Instagram and he can post it for you. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm doing great. Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones wrote, I am so very sad to hear of the death of Ozzy Osbourne. What a lovely goodbye concert he had at Back to the Beginning in Birmingham. That's how I imagine Ronnie Wood talks. Google Ronnie Wood if you want to know why. Black Sabbath's account on X posted a photo of Osbourne from the gig with the caption, Ozzy forever. A true Birmingham legend. The undisputed king of heavy metal. You didn't just shape a culture, you defined it. You led from the front, never looked back. My thoughts are with Sharon and the entire Osbourne clan during this time, dear Lord. Look at young Oswald. Look at the boy. Oh, I have friends who look like that, but without the glorious hair. What the hell, Oswald? Sir Elton John described his dear friend as a huge trailblazer who secured his place in the pantheon of rock gods. He was also one of the funniest people I've ever met. And this singer also wrote on Instagram. Oh, see, that's a good Instagram post. Why did Metallica just put a broken heart? You feel me? I'm not saying write the whole story, whatever. But even Elton John, he was also one of the funniest people I've met. Wrote on Instagram. Feel like it would have been very easy for Metallica to tell whoever runs their page a quick aside about Uzi. Maybe they'll do it for little Uzi, since they couldn't for senior Uzi. Uzi senior. Shut the hell up. I could have sworn on everything I loved that his name was Oswald. I think I might have just might have been an episode of like his reality show where his wife was calling him, Sharon was calling him Oswald. I think she always just called him Ozzy. Ozzy. Born John Michael Osborne on the 3rd of December 1948 in Aston, Birmingham. He became known as the Godfather of heavy metal, capital. The self-styled Prince of Darkness pioneered the music genre with Black Sabbath before going on to have a huge success in his own right. He was famous for hits including Iron Man, Paranoid, War Pigs, A Crazy Train, and changes. I'm going through changes, both with the band and as a solo star. Black Sabbath's eponymous debut. I think it's eponymous. Eponymous debut album in 1970 made the UK top 10 and paved the way for a string of tracks. Legends, Giza, Oslin, and Tommy Iommi. I'm surprised. Born John Michael Osborne? Johnny Mike? Johnny Mike Osborne? What, since his last name is Osborne, they called him Ozzy. Ozzy Osborne. Selling more than 75 million albums worldwide. Wide. Okay, let's not spend the rest of this pod on Oz, but RIP. I didn't see a link to, I scrolled, a little bit through this earlier to hide this ad, but there'll be another one there. Well, I didn't see anything about Hulkster, so I'm just going to say that. The great Hulk Hogan has also passed. Not that this is the obituary section of your local newspaper, but we lost Hulk Hogan as well. I love the WWE. I grew up watching it. My favorite wrestler was Kane. But I did love whenever the Hulk would come back in the early 2000s just for a quick appearance because they're in Florida for the week or whatever, wherever he lived. And he's amazing. Truly a stunning star. I haven't looked up what happened to him exactly, but we wish the family well. And I hope his wife burns in hell. His ex-wife, not his last wife, I think was really nice to him. I don't know if he got remarried, but I heard his new gal was really cool and lovely to Hulkster. Let's do a bullet speed through bullet. We're gonna bullet the titles, the articles, and a quick reaction. Immigration agents told a teenage U.S. citizen, "You've got no rights." He secretly recorded his brutal arrest. Honestly, ICE has been getting way too out of hand. Everybody agrees that, we shouldn't be having all the illegals and a giant majority of criminals from other countries just freely allowed into here. But the way they're going about it is not right, and it should just be paused until, we can figure out the right way to do it. This is not cool. Absolutely not. Donald Trump's name reported to feature in DOJ files about Jeffrey Epstein. Why is this news? Everybody knows. There's a million pictures of them together. In that 2010 fucking interview Epstein did for court, where he's basically being asked questions by the prosecution, and the whole interview he just keeps saying, "I would love to answer that, but unfortunately, at this time, for this time at least, my lawyers have instructed me to plead the Fifth, the Fourth, and the 13th Amendment," or whatever the fuck he said. Because he just played the Fifth the whole time. But they asked if him and Trump were friends. He did say yes. There's that whole famous debacle where he got kicked out of Mar-a-Lago for having a kid with him. It wasn't about the kid, or no, it was for hitting on like a 17-year-old worker. it wasn't about the 17-year-old worker. Trump just likes to use that. It was because they had like some argument about some business deal or something that, Epstein got over on Trump with, or Trump wanted it, and Epstein stole it under his nose. So he wanted to kick him out. And then he's like, catches him, talking to one of the 17-year-old club ladies. I don't know what they call the girls that, maybe it might have even been just a cashier. I don't know what the gal was. Spending too much time on it. R.I.P. Ozzy. Lauren Boebert's son charged with misdemeanor child abuse. I don't know if she's old enough to have like a son that has kids, because that's what it sounds like. Like, abused his own children, and the neighbors might have called it in on him or something. But the whole family's trash. What do you want me to say? Lock them up, lock them all up, take them out, destroy the Boberts. No, just kidding. My name is Bo too. I don't need the Boberts bad juju wiping off on me because I said something negative. There, whatever. I think Lauren was the one that was having her titties out and smoking in that theater, right? She looked good. She, if I'd do it. Jeffrey Epstein accuser urged FBI to investigate Trump decades ago. Report. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have said a lot of things and nothing gets done. Welcome to America. I mean, literally. I am cryingly surprised every time I run into another person in America who feels like, why would the government ever do anything bad? Why would the government actively push for toxic chemicals and colorants and flavorings to be put in our food over just simple things like dyeing some fruit juice with beet juice to look more orange or whatever color we need, instead of throwing yellow 5 and red 40 in there. It's malarkey. Ghislaine Maxwell received limited immunity during meetings with Deputy Attorney General. Limited immunity, she still has immunity. I'm saying her father had like 3 or 4 former Israeli prime ministers at his funeral and was very well knownedly working with Mossad. What why are we giving her this type of leeway? Because money protects money and controls all? I don't know. 'Cause it doesn't feel like the people of England where she's from, or America where she trafficked children out of, really want her to be getting treated so well and not having to talk or anything. It's just stupid. Kentucky man wakes up during organ harvesting procedure, prompting federal investigation. I'm sorry, guys. What the fuck? What the fucking hell?
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is looking into reforming the organ donation system in the U.S. after a federal investigation found one Kentucky organization began the organ harvesting process on people who may not have been dead.
A House subcommittee held a hearing Tuesday on organ donations, safety lapses, some concerning Kentucky-based nonprofit Network for Hope, which merged with Kentucky organ donor affiliates CODA. TJ Hoover was declared brain dead after suffering an overdose in October 2021. Holy shit. TJ Hoover was declared brain dead. But his sister, Donna Rohr, says doctors attempted to harvest his organs while he was still showing signs of life. Rohr says TJ's eyes were open and tracking movement during his honor walk. when family members gather to say goodbye before organ donation surgery. When I first got my license or my permit, when I got my driving permit, my cousin told me, Bo, do not sign that organ harvesting shit. I was like, what? He's like, that organ donor thing, don't sign it. I said, what? Why? I want to be a good person. I want to donate. And he said, no, bro, because if there's some like senator or rich white person who needs a fucking kidney or whatever, a heart, and your heart's fine, and they might be able to save you after this accident, but they could easily just as easily let you die and nobody would be none the wiser. They'll let you die if you're an organ donor because then that guy can get his fucking heart or his fucking whatever he needs replaced and transplanted. I know you've seen my cousin told me. I know you've seen these like old white people in California that look like fucking Nosferatu vampire type veins. Yeah, they're on like their fourth or fifth heart and they're still kicking because young immigrants like us, get some kind of minor injury and then we get left for dead. So some fucking faggy ass vampire can fucking get another heart. We're not doing that, bro. Don't sign up for that shit. And I didn't. And I thank him every day for that. Approximately 45 minutes after TJ was taken into the operating room, Rohr says a doctor informed the family that they had stopped the procedure. She said, I stopped it. He's not ready. He woke up. Natasha Miller, who worked as a surgical preservationist, said, confirmed he was moving a lot, just thrashing, not settled. According to Miller, who is no longer with CODA, TJ's declaring physician believes he showed many signs of life, too many signs of life to continue with the surgery. But CODA wanted to proceed anyway. Jesus fucking God. This is a brutal one, guys. I'm sorry. Rohr didn't learn the full extent of what happened until she was contacted by Nicoletta Martin. Nicoletta, a former surgical preservation coordinator for CODA who had been scheduled to take over TJ's case. I was really surprised that that morning he had been taken into the cardiac cath lab. He was paralyzed and sedated and moved on with the OR. Why did they paralyze him? Clearly, bro, if you've got any signs of life and any signs of, being like good enough to bring back to life, they're gonna take them away from any physician or surgeon about to take your organs out by paralyzing and sedating so you can be fully comfortably asleep while they take your heart and shit out. Oh shit, gross. That's gross, motherfucker. That shit's gross. That shit is gross. Moved on to the OR. The hospital staff said that they were incredibly alarmed, calling it euthanasia. Martin said. The cardiologist said he didn't know why TJ was given a poor prognosis. He said it didn't look like it was brain dead. Martin resigned from CODA shortly after. Rohr says TJ now suffers from PTSD. He's back alive and home. Holy shit, thank God. And both women have been advocating for organ donation reform. TJ was able to fight for his life and he's still here. Praise Jesus. Praise Jah. Holy Mother of God. And there's others that are still here, but there's a lot that are not. Network for Hope responded to inquiries about TJ's case and Tuesday hearings with the state. Wow, guys. Wow. Holy shit. That was brutal. That was scary. That was sad. But thank freaking Christian Christ that that man is alive and home. I'm sure he's got very bad PTSD and he probably has crazy nightmares of like aliens operating. But all in all, he didn't have his organs harvested while he was paralyzed and sedated. I like to call that a win for God. Yep. Well, check out my music, BB Angel, on everything. On YouTube, BB Angel. Look up 5%. Look up my Hood anime video. Tell Sonny Digital he sucks ball sacks for roasting my music without even listening to a full minute of any songs, just nodding his head, looking all drunk and talking about, you're not talking about none. They ain't talking what they talking about. They ain't talking about none. What they talking about? They ain't talking about none. So check my music out. It's Baja Bo on Apple Music. It's still, I believe, I'm trying to figure out how to get that changed. If anyone knows how, help a brother out. And Baja Bo on Instagram. I believe it's Baja Bo on X still as well. It used to be the only Baja Bo. I'm not, but I'm pretty sure I dropped the only. So should be cooling on that. I'm putting together a book. I promise you guys, hopefully by this time next year, I've got the book fully fleshed out. I sent it to my cousin. She's told me and edited some stuff, we're putting it together. Point being, book being put together. I gave you the YouTube BB Angel, also the YouTube Church with Bo. We got, yeah, yeah. Never made it as a watch man. Shout out to KC Rocket Man. Yeah. Thank you guys. Good night. Love y'all.